There's a moment, a few hours into the card game Inscryption, where the game decides to mix things up a bit.
Oh my, I think I just beat him! Oh.
For context, when you reach this moment you've been looking at nothing but orange and black cards for the last few hours. Looking at the Steam achievements, this part of the game is buried deep enough that 40% of people don't even delve this far in. So to a newcomer, being thrown into a computer startup screen is a little bit odd. It's odd that there's suddenly nothing to click, no numbers or boons or decks, just an amateur card collector's YouTube videos. And odd even more so when he goes out into the woods and finds a floppy disk containing the game you've been playing.
Guys, are you seeing this? I'm a little confused.
But somehow, to me at least, Inscryption reaches peak odd when you make your way back into the game and instead you're presented with this. "1972, stick with me, saw the wide release of lots of important technologies. The handheld calculator, the taser, and the dual-line kite. But importantly for us, 1972, just over 50 years ago, saw the release of the Magnavox Odyssey, the first official video game console.
Odyssey can be attached to any brand television receiver with a screen size of 18 to 25 inches, either black and white or color.
For the first time, you could own one single machine that had multiple video games inside, games you could switch between at will. A major leap forward for the gaming industry, and although Ralph Baer, leader of the design team, became known as the father of video games, the Odyssey was no commercial giant, initially underselling with just over half the consoles produced in '72 actually finding a home. In 2020, PlayStation was under fire for not producing enough consoles to keep up with demand. Accessibility for online experiences is an all-time high. A quick search on Steam can probably get you any fantasy you'd ever want to have, and it's all packaged with the software that's free, provided you've got a computer. So in many ways, the idea of games within games was kind of bound to happen. The idea is easier to execute than ever, and with so much variety in the market, unique concepts are not something you want to shy away from. Hardware has gotten to the point where we're so much more optimized than 20 years ago, that throwing in a minigame or two can't hurt the performance. Why play the original Doom on your PlayStation 1 when you can play it on your office phone on your pregnancy test? Why play the original Doom when Doom Eternal has an in-game computer that contains both Doom 1 and 2? Uncharted 4 has a scene where you play Crash Bandicoot.
What? Is that it?
People have made Minecraft playable inside of Minecraft. Inscryption is a video game that combines elements of deck building, puzzle solving, and psychological horror. You collect cards, you build a deck, and engage in turn-based battles. However, what immediately sets Inscryption apart is its deeper layer of storytelling and bizarre atmosphere. As you progress through the game, you discover there's more to the story than just turn-based combat. Cards will begin to suddenly talk to you, addressing the game rules and the opponent. The mysterious cloaked figure will deny you progress forward. And when you die, he creates a card for you. The horror aspect of the game gradually unfolds as you find yourself trapped within this virtual cabin with a card game. You're allowed to stand up, and now the game is also an escape room where you're solving puzzles to get out, and there's an incredible amount of... To cut to the chase, Inscryption isn't a franchise with callback potential, nor does it have any interest in showing off the way our gaming hardware has advanced. The new game is different because it's exactly that. New. This new pixelated world has been designed, coded, visualized from the ground up, just for this game. You can walk around and interact with characters, you have an inventory, entire new game systems in an entirely different aesthetic. And make no mistake, this doesn't cut down on the detail of the systems either. The new and improved card fighting portion of this level of the game has new classes, enemy types, mechanics, rivaling that of the first level. But the immediate, more logical thought I had after experiencing this transition was really just, why? Why go through all the effort of designing an entirely new world? I wasn't bored of the old one. Why go through all the effort of whisking the player along into an entirely new concept, a hard reset after we've gotten so accustomed to the old one? This thought process multiplies tenfold as the game progresses, and after a few hours, you're whisked again into an entirely different card game. New mechanics, new art style, everything is revamped again. And again. And again. Towards the end of the game, at the character's request, the game begins to delete itself, and as layers unravel, we see even again and again, there's more fleshed out card games built into this that we can only experience for 1 or 2 minutes. A full boss battle intro begins to play only for you to be cut short and whisked away again. Inscryption is not one game, not 2, not 3, but it's a collection of card games with entirely different mechanics each time. But on top of that, there's an entire story about Luke the Carter, a YouTuber who stumbles across the game you're playing. Atop that, an ARG that led fans across the internet and out into the real world to solve mysteries about the lore of the game.
Oh, what's this?
Cards?
There's a mod DLC that features a version of the first card game with sprinkles of lore mixed in, and more recently, there was an entirely separate ARG with clues found exclusively on copies played on PlayStation. Clearly, Inscryption is aiming for something a bit different, because while it seems other games are just focused on poking fun at the idea, Inscryption takes the concept of switching the game without warning and uses it to enhance the story. Okay. Let's take an example from a movie with a similar concept, and I guess similar name. Christopher Nolan's Inception, being a film about people who navigate dreams within dreams. Let's use the heist as an example. We'll get a decently simple, albeit different example of layering. When the crew goes to sleep, they end up in the first layer of the dream world, a city. Later on, they all go to sleep again, but inside the dream, which puts them on another layer deeper. And then they go to sleep one more time and enter another layer deeper into the snow fortress. It's fairly simple to understand, like stories of a building you can descend down. This concept is similarly executed in games like Doom Eternal or Uncharted, because you're playing this game inside the other game. Inscryption handles its games quite differently. Instead of putting the pixel video game inside the cabin stage, the gameplay is essentially stripped away entirely and replaced by the new concept. It's specifically clear that the two concepts can't coexist. Perhaps if you wanted to get technical, you could say the ARG elements of the game can exist as a level above the game because the community played the game in order to solve the puzzles in real life. But essentially, you're exploring entirely new, unseen worlds that you haven't been able to see before. These worlds are special because they create an illusion that is really exclusive to metagames. The illusion that these worlds are really there. There's a full fleshed out system that can be played if you just break down the boundaries of each stage. The difference between a game like Inscryption and a movie like Inception is that when you change the concept of a location in a movie, you're still physically watching a movie, but importantly, games are the only form of media that have the ability to change how you interact with them. Games let you swivel your head and examine the world around you, and the fact that you can do that with just about every level thrown at you in Inscryption proves something that movies simply can't. That perhaps, even when you can't see them, there are characters, cards, menus, and worlds there, hidden behind the code within Inscryption.